Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. We have corrected our file and logged the changes, and we have saved our change log. So once we're done with that, you can verify that everything worked properly by going into the settings menu and switching over to grade mode. You can do this even on your version of the program, and this is the version that I actually use to take a look at your submissions. So we're going to choose on the left your original file just as before. So this is exactly the same as you logged your changes from, the thing that you submitted originally on CCLE, your original submission. And then on the right, we're going to load up your log file. It's not going to show up. Your original solution is going to show up on both left and the right now. We're going to load up the log file that you saved previously. So we called that homework1.corrected.java.log. Let's open that up. You're not going to see anything change until you make changes. And that is going to apply all those changes that you logged in the log file to the original, all those add and deletes and copies, in order to transform it into the corrected version of your code. And so that's what I see is on the left, I see your corrected version and your original version. So I can see it's marked in blue that you added these two variables here, and you've added these two commands, and you've also added something to the while loop that's also changed. So that verifies that I'll be able to see the corrected version of your code. I actually generate that from your original and from the change log. So you don't even have to send me a corrected version of your code. I generate that, and that keeps things honest, right? So you can also save that if you wanted to, just to make absolutely sure that it turns into your corrected code. But let's not do that. I want to show you a few things not to do. So let's see, there's 5 changes that I'm going to see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take your rubric score based on the output, how well your program achieved the goals it was supposed to, and I'm going to subtract a certain number of points for each of these changes that I see, right? So keeping that in mind, we don't want to make any more changes than necessary. So let's see some things not to do, for instance. So let's go back to the log mode. We're going to open up the original file on the left. We'll open up the corrected file on the right. This is the corrected file. We'll log those changes again, but this time we're going to do it differently. Let's say that you had just gone and said, I'm going to log my changes just by copying everything over from the right to the left. Alright, I'm all done, right? Save the change log. I'm going to save it as homework 1 corrected poorly. Again, saved, it should be. It says open, but it's really saved. Alright, so I've done that, but look what I'm going to see. Let's switch over to grade mode. I'm going to select on my original file. This is what I've downloaded from CCLE, and I'm also going to download your change log on CCLE. I'm going to make those changes. This is how I'm going to process your assignment, and this is what I'll see. I'll see that all these lines changed. Every one of these is blue. That's not really the case, but you know what? You didn't log your changes appropriately, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 changes here. I'm not going to count these extra squiggly braces or empty lines. I don't worry about those. But that was 13 changes instead of 5, so you get a far lower score if you don't log your changes appropriately, even though your corrected submission is the same. Your corrections are exactly the same, but you didn't log the changes appropriately, so I can't tell easily that you only made a few changes to the file. I'm not going to sit here and take a look, oh, this while loop is the same, it looks like this tall f is the same. That is your job as part of the logging changes process. So you might say, oh, well, I'm going to minimize the number of lines that look like they've changed. So let's say that you had changed things like this. Let's load up the original, and let's say you had made changes to your file and tried to snuck a bunch of stuff onto the same line. So in this case, I've made the exact same changes, but I have not followed normal formatting, right? I've declared double df and double dx here on the same line, and I put these two commands on the same line. Saying, oh, he's not going to notice that. Alright, so let's go ahead and make these changes. So I'll show you how you might log them. oops, quickly. I'm going to delete that line. Alright, looks like I'm only going to have to copy 3 things over, right? I'll save that change log. Now you'll see that when I open up your original and I open up your changelog here, I make those changes. That's only going to see 3 lines have changed, only 3 lines in blue. But guess what? I'm going to see that semicolon there and 2 doubles declared on the same line. I've asked you not to do that. I've asked you to follow normal formatting guidelines. I also, specifically with regard to variables, don't want you declaring multiple variables separated by commas, because I consider each variable declaration to be a substantial change between your original and correct version. If you've added variables, that's worthy of a line of its own. I want you to add these on separate lines. But guess what? If you're worried about accidentally doing this sort of thing, you don't have to be, right? All you have to do is when you correct your file in NetBeans, you can make sure that it follows the normal formatting guidelines by going into the source menu, and the very first option is format, and that will automatically format your file to put each statement on a separate line of its own, so you're not accidentally going to make any mistakes. The only thing it won't correct for you is if you have declared multiple variables on the same line separated by commas. That's the only thing that I can think of that it's not going to format appropriately and that you have to make sure that you do manually. But I want you to please format appropriately as normal. I don't want you to try to sneak multiple things onto the same line, because I've asked you not to, if I do see that sort of thing, it's really a violation of academic integrity, because if it's obvious that you're trying to hide something and improve your grade in this dishonest way, that's not a good thing. So it will be frowned upon. Let's just put it that way right now. Please stick to normal formatting and get the maximum grade that you can. Thanks and good luck.